All right, well, welcome back from that commercial break right now. We will be moving into the next plenary session called, with the topic or titled Rethinking Agriculture. And our moderator for this session will be Michael Kadiri. He is CEO, a diversified agriculture and food production holding company based in Lagos, AIP BOESS, a diversified agriculture and food production holding company that is based in Lagos. Mr. Michael Kadiri, do we have you online?
Indeed you do. Thank you.
Michael Kadiri?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
So we're going to trust that you will keep the session quick. We want to be able to hear the best we can and also do that in good time. Thank you. Excellent.
Thank you so much. So I'd like to formally welcome all of you to KADINVEST 5.0 and an exciting plenary session titled Rethinking Agriculture. It's a very interesting topic. Interesting because the title says Rethinking Agriculture. So I'm hopeful that in the hour that we have together, we will pick out why that title. Because of course, Nigeria has always been an agricultural hub. We are endowed with all manner of advantages. So it'd be interesting to discuss why we're rethinking it. I have an exciting panel with me today that I'm excited to introduce and look forward to discussing some of the topics that we will look to touch over the next 1 hour. I don't know who is on board yet. I note that Mira is with us. You're here, Mira? Okay, and I think, do we have Mr. Sabiu Samalia with us? Okay, I'll take.
Yes, I'm online.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, sir. And Mr. Samson Ogbola.
Yes, I'm here. Good afternoon. I'm here. Good afternoon.
Okay, welcome. And we have, is it Dr. Chinedo? Are you with us, sir?
Yes, I am. Thank you very much. It's an honor to be in KADINVEST 0.5.
Excellent. So I'm just going to let you all know how we're going to do this. I will take a couple of minutes to introduce our panelists. And thereafter, what I'll do is I will spend 30 seconds to introduce a particular topic. I will formulate a question from that topic, and I'll throw it to the panelists, where we hope for a robust enough discussion amongst ourselves. Okay, so ladies first, I'll start with Mira. Welcome, Mira. Thank you so much for joining us. Mira is co-founder and CEO of Tomato Juice, which is a fully integrated farming and processing agri-business in northern Nigeria. They produce tomato paste and other agricultural products for the domestic market. Ms. Mira has worked in financial services and the healthcare sectors in both New York and Nigeria. She's a graduate of Brown University and Harvard Business School and has lived in Nigeria since 2008. So welcome again, Mira. Thank you so much for being here with us. So to demonstrate that the panel covers extensive areas of the value chain, I'm really excited to introduce Samson Ogbola. Samson is a farmer, and so we're very excited to have him on board. He's the start of how this sector works. Beyond that, Samson is a lead trainer for Farm Lab. Samson has devoted his time and resources to building modern farms that explore latest technology for agriculture. A public speaker, he's featured on TEDx, CNN's African Voices, Reuters TV, Channels TV, and others. Farmer Samson has lent his expertise to the public sector as well in Lagos and Ogun states, and he's been recognized accordingly. I'm also excited. Thank you so much. Yes, so I'm also very excited to introduce Sabiu Sani Ismailia. Sabiu is a banker by profession with over 2 decades banking experience in retail and commercial banking. He's currently the permanent secretary in the Kaduna State Ministry of Agriculture. He's devoted his recent professional life in the service of Kaduna State. He's been an executive secretary in Kaduna State Industrialization and Microcredit Management Board, executive secretary, Kadipa, and pioneer GM and CEO of Kaduna Agricultural Development Agency. You're most welcome, sir.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone.
So thank you for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a whale in the room, in the house. Dr. Chinedo Ogbonnaya is a principal manager in the Anchor Borrowers Program team at the Central Bank of Nigeria. From the Development Finance Department, he has participated in the formulation and implementation of several intervention policies, including the National Inclusion Strategy for Nigeria, the 220 billion naira micro, small, and medium enterprises development fund, and the Anchor Borrowers Program. So this is a man that if you found walking the streets, you should capture him, put him in a bottle, and take him back to your offices and farms, because he can really play a major impact in your agri ambitions. So in June 2013, he also participated in the 19th Boulder Microfinance Training Program in Turin, Italy, and also had assignments with the Reserve Bank of South Africa, as well as the Central Bank of Kenya. His doctorate degree is in marketing communication, and he has published papers on communication tools for banking. So thank you so much. We're really excited to have you on board.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's my honor.
So also on our panel today is our youngest panelist. I'm really excited that he's on board. He's already doing incredible stuff. I believe he's 25 years old only, a graduate from Heriot-Watt University in Edinburgh, bitterly cold Edinburgh, Scotland. He's also the CEO of Hafaz Integrated Farms, a 450-hectare farm in Kebbi State. Hafaz also operates a rice mill and an oil mill. And as I understand it, engages in the socio-economic space, where he's chairman of Arewa Youth Agropreneurs. Excitingly, he's also president of AgroCola, a digital technology agri-alliance and hub. You should also check out his podcast called Hafaz Post, a platform that interviews entrepreneurs in order to motivate the youth. So very excited to have you on board. I'm sure that you're going to point us into the direction of the future as we debate and discuss some of the very interesting topics that we've got scheduled. Welcome.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here.
Okay, excellent. So I hope you're all as excited as I am. We also welcome all those who have, through the magic of technology, joined us this afternoon. I hope you're all as excited as I am. You know, innate in societies is the need for nutrition and health. Everything starts with agriculture, and that's why it's so important. And it is no surprise that Kaduna State is the recipient of the largest FDIs in Nigeria at the moment. And interestingly enough, much of that FDI has come into the agriculture and the food production space. So we don't want to blow our trumpet, but we are absolutely important for society and for advancement of society and advancement of development. So all of us who are in the agri space, who are in the food production space, we matter. And so I'm sure that everybody who is on board is going to pay special attention to our deliberations here this afternoon. So I'm your humble servant, your humble moderator. Just to tell you a little bit about me, my name is Michael Kadiri. I am the Managing Director of AIP BOESS. We are an agri-commodity trader and food production company based in Lagos. So as I said several times, I'm really glad to be here. As I said earlier on, I'm going to take 30 seconds to a minute, introduce a topic, formulate a question, and throw it to the panel. So the first, let's make it very exciting, an exciting start, okay? So the first area that I want us to look at is to first touch upon the role of government. So today, the buzzword in Nigeria is that the government is looking to advance agriculture and food production. Now, some people have been touched by the opportunities that exist that government has created, particularly through the central bank. Many haven't. And I'm really glad that we have an official from the central bank here today. And I'm particularly glad because of your experience. So my question is government's involvement in agriculture today, is it a myth? Is it reality? And what are the ways that we can improve it? I'd like to start with you, Dr. Chinedo.
Thank you very much. This is a question that we get to hear every day. Is government involvement? First of all, they ask if all the things they hear on radio and see on TV, they are real. And then the next thing is, how come they are not feeling it? So I'll start by saying that it is real. There can be a better time for government to be involved in agriculture. As you know, agriculture is done on land. Every land in Nigeria is owned by the government by the Land Use Act. And then in addition to that, according to the FAO, direct inputs to agriculture to improve agribusiness in Nigeria in the last 20 years has been less than 1% per annum. So if there is any time that government needs to rethink about its role in agriculture, it is now. Just to go straight to point, I'm excited as the discussion goes on. I'll bring in dimensions from policy end to practical funding that government has provided for every interested farmer. I will create opportunity for people to really know that this is real. The population of Nigeria, the sheer size of Nigeria makes it difficult sometimes for every piece of the pie to go around, but it is real. Government is focused on it, and we're beginning to see great results.
Okay, thank you so much for that. We look forward to hearing a little bit more about this from you later on. So I think I'm already struggling with time. So let me, rather than put that same question to the rest of the panel, I'm going to touch on another issue. So something else that's very popular is the fact that we all agreed that we need to get our youth involved in agriculture. So the direct question goes to Haruna. How do we, you're really involved in this space, apart from your business, you're really involved in this space. So tell us a little bit of what you think of how we can stimulate the youth to get involved in agriculture. What are the things that we need to be doing, particularly from government and the interventionist agencies?
Well, Mr. Michael, there's this notion that we have as Nigerians always saying the youth don't want to go into agriculture because they don't see it as attractive. But the truth is, with my organization, we've traveled to Kaduna, that's the Arewa Youth Agripreneurs, this January. And we had a brief meeting. We just wanted to meet the youths in Kaduna to see what they've been up to. And to be honest, we've seen an influx of youths being interested to be in agriculture. But the challenges that they pose is that the government really needs to give them a ground to thrive. But what I mean by that is that they need funding, because these are youths that are just graduating from university, and some of them are just finishing secondary school, and they need access to land, they need access to funding. And agricultural mechanization cannot be overemphasized as for you to be profitable in this business, you have to actually focus on mechanization. And I'm very glad to hear that the Kaduna state government has a Mahindra that is going to be assembling its tractors in the states. And I can see that they are moving towards that direction of mechanization. So I can really say that the government is doing well. And I'm happy to have Mr. Chinedo here. So that's one of the low-hanging fruits where the state government can actually partner together with the ABP and the development finance so that these youths can actually be involved in agriculture. And sorry, one more thing that I wanted to mention is the Kaduna State Agricultural Structure Survey that gave me an insight that most of the youth that are involved in agriculture, most of the people that are involved in agriculture in the state are between 40 to 30 years old, which is there's a need for the government to make a deliberate effort to engage youths in agricultural practices. And I also want to commend the Kaduna state government for carrying out such survey, because it shows how serious they are, and because we cannot overemphasize the importance of data in this day and age.
Well, thank you very much for that. You made a number of very valid points. Above all of that, actually, is the fact that clearly Kaduna State is being at the frontier end of advancing agriculture and food production in Nigeria. So thank you so much for that. I want to go to Mr. Samson. In your role as a farmer. So I want to ask you, how are you experiencing the impact of government? How is government impacting your work in farming? And are there any things that you think the government should be putting in place to make your outcomes more profitable?
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. Now, as a practicing farmer, I am one of those who always say we must not overestimate the role of government such that we cast our responsibilities to the government. So for me as a practicing farmer into veggies, tomatoes, using technology and all of that, the part I always want the government to play is first, make the roads okay. Now, because I understand that getting the roads to be okay is not an overnight job, because I need to be able to prove over time that investing in this road would actually make sense financially, economically for the government in power, because at the end of the day, there is always limited resources. Even if it is the government, there is limited resources. So it's my job to ensure I had to get a space that I know it's easier for me to get to markets. Two, I would also want the government over time to work on storage facility, because the reality is, if we do not have a way to store food, the seasonal production of food, the impact of climate change would have an adverse effect on whatever it is we are doing on the farm. We have an adverse effect on what we are doing on the farm. And like Haruna said earlier, there is also a big need to ensure that there is available finance, or better still, there is available equipment that farmers can rent and pay for cheaply over time. So for example, as a farmer who probably wants to do 100 hectares, 200 hectares, we may not have the money to buy all of these equipment. But if there is an intervention that allows the farmer to say, oh, I can get this tractor, I can get this equipment, use and pay for it gradually, it helps a lot. And I must say that government also needs to move away from spending on consumables and invest more for the farmer on things that are not readily consumed. What I mean by that is we need to move away from buying of fertilizers and all of that, all these agrochemicals, because if you spend on the chemicals this year, you have to respend on it next year. But if we have access to irrigation, just having irrigation alone would ensure that farmers can produce food all year round. And what that would mean invariably for the government or for the economy generally is the cheapest a produce can be becomes the regular price of that produce all year round, just because there is irrigation available. And you realize that when the government invests in something like irrigation, it's not a thing you keep investing on annually or you keep giving subsidy on annually. So yeah, I think in a simple form, there should be a work on logistics, work on transport, on storage, very important. Then infrastructural development around agriculture, not consumables. That would go a long way in helping the local farmers, including myself.
Okay, so thank you so much for that interesting contribution, very interesting contribution. The first thing you said that was that we should not look to government to provide all these solutions, which is a great segue for me. I want to bring Mira on, and I'd like your contribution, particularly considering that you have a background in financial services. If you're still here with us and you can hear me, I would like your contribution with regards to what the international investing and fund management communities think of Nigeria. What is the current sentiment? At AIP BOESS, my fellow partners and I, we spend a lot of time talking to foreign investors, trying to attract them into Nigeria. What would be your take on what the current sentiments about Nigeria are?
Sure. Thank you, Michael, so much for having me on the panel today. And it's a great question. In general, I think the biggest draw to Nigeria, of course, is the population and, the relative wealth of the country. 200 million people, a very young population, a growing population. It's a story that, resonates with investors, especially who have a lot of growth, in their minds. The fear that comes along with that excitement is about what we call counterparty risk, right? Am I going to be able to trust that the person on the other end of my deal is going to hold up to their end of whatever we sign? And I think that's coupled by the fact that a lot of international investors have a fear of actually living in Nigeria and really understanding the context. And so you got a lot of folks who end up flying in, seeing something, flying out, but not really truly understanding how relationship-based things are here and how important it is to really work to develop and understand who you're working with before, and to get references and to, to make it a community thing rather than to just come in and say, okay, I want to put this plant up here. I'm going to put this money into this person's hands and fly back to Europe or fly back to London, And so I think that that's one of the things that Kaduna State has really tried to understand and has tried to, make better for foreign investors, understanding that counterparty risk is really important, understanding that Nigeria, for better or worse, has a reputation for, being very difficult to do business in. So creating things like KADIPA, creating things that, make investors understand how to navigate in a place where they aren't necessarily from or don't necessarily understand. A lot of foreign investors or a lot of foreigners don't understand how large Nigeria is. The fact that Kaduna State is larger than Liberia, it's larger than many other countries on the continent. and that there are opportunities that you can seek that are actually regional or even state specific, and still earn, a return. Because of course, at the end of the day, most financial investors want to see that if I put in $1 million tomorrow, in 7 years, I can take out $10 million. And so, being able to demonstrate that those kinds of growth and numbers are achievable even within a region of the country is also very important.
Wow, thank you so much for that. I think that you've touched upon some really important issues there, certainly issues that me in my company and our partners experience all the time. I want to go to, if I may, I want to go to Sabiu, because I want him to help us proceed on this particular topic, because I think that one of the issues that Mira was talking about that we've all experienced is the issue of ease of doing business. There's also an elephant in the room. There's a security issue. That's certainly the sentiments from foreign investors or fund managers who are looking at Nigeria, and they consider it a risk that they struggle to mitigate in trying to produce bankable projects. So I want Mr. Sabiu to help us look at this issue. And the two direct questions I'll ask him are, what is, in his opinion, the ease of doing business situation in Nigeria is, and how it relates to our ability to attract foreign investors. And like I said, the elephant in the room, the security issue. So please talk to us about your thoughts on this, how Kaduna is looking at this issue and meeting these challenges, and also importantly, how Nigeria generally is meeting these challenges.
Well, as you rightly said, sometimes the issue of security you raise is real, but I want to believe that it's being overplugged in the sense that you cannot really exactly say this is the amount of losses you incur in terms of productivity resulting from insecurity. Yeah, we have pocket of insecurity, but productivity has continued to increase. In a demand-driven approach to agricultural productivity, and also in working towards reorienting farmers from seeing agriculture as a culture rather than as a business, and in also working towards the development of the agricultural value chain by clearly itemizing and identifying the various stages and working towards improving it. We have seen significant growth in our productivity. If you take our statistical report in the last 4 years, you can see increasing growth in the GDP contribution of agriculture to Kaduna State economy, to the extent that now we have a contribution that is heading towards 38.2%, and which we hope by next year it will hit 40%. And this growth is being influenced by several factors in an integrated approach manner. One, the freeing up of the space, the attraction of investment that drive the productivity, because farmers actually go towards producing what is in demand. And when they see value, they go towards it. And then when you look at the focus of the administration, which has changed from subsidizing inputs, where agriculture is only viewed as a fertilizer matter, to the issue of covering mechanization, organizing the farmers and training them and getting them linked up to market and linked up to finance. And they're becoming increasingly accessible to financing. We can say that I wouldn't say at the moment that the security is a major constraint. I would rather say, yeah, security is a challenge, but it has not been able to clearly be identified as a link or reason responsible for decline, because we are not recorded decline in agricultural productivity in terms of land under cultivation, in terms of average yield per hectare of farmers, and in terms of even the investment flow that is coming into agriculture, or rather say that is an issue, but not an issue that is, we can say, is constraint to productivity at farmer level and also at uptake level.
So thank you so much for your contribution and representing the views of the Kaduna State government with regards to security issues. It's heartening to note that from the data that you have, the issue of security, which is a challenge, has not impacted, in your opinion, productivity or foreign investment into Kaduna State. I think that the platforms that the government in Kaduna State have created have, I think, helped to mitigate this issue on security. So thank you so much for that. I'd like to go to Chinedo to quickly give us your take on the issue of ease of doing business in Nigeria and how the central bank looks at being an interventionist agency in this regard.
Okay, I would speak on basically two prongs.
Okay.
Ease of doing business from our point of view in the CBN is to ensure that we put the kind of policies in place that assist agriculture to reach its full potential. On the policy side, I will just take you through one or two policy thoughts that we've implemented post-COVID to ensure that the real sector in general continue to experience growth, and then agriculture in particular. In managing the financial system, as you know, from time to time, the central bank gauges the cash in the system. I will use the layman's language so that the array of guests that we have will appreciate what we're talking about. And then from time to time, we draw this cash from the system. We have a new policy that tweaks that a little bit. And what we are doing now for banks who are lending heavily to agriculture, the central bank is willing to discuss, you can use the language, a private arrangement on loan deposit ratio management. What we try to do is, yes, the ratios are this, but because we see the huge potential, the huge lending this bank or that bank is doing in agriculture, we are willing to tweak that policy, to tweak the DCR position so that that bank will lend effectively to agriculture. As you know, agricultural loans are not like typical import finance, oil and gas transactions that from start to finish, you're looking at lead time 90 days. Agriculture requires sometimes long-term funding, and then there is concern about how the banks carry this on their balance sheet. So apart from direct policy on loan deposit ratio management, the CBN is also intervening on critical agricultural commodities. But for what the federal government under the administration of Buhari has done in rice production in Nigeria, at this time, there would have been major food crisis. Starting from 2005, when the actual Anchor Borrower program was launched, the CBN has consistently financed, intervened in that commodity, rice and other commodities that lead to huge expenditure in foreign exchange. So to answer you directly, two-pronged approach, put the policies that encourage banks to actively lend to agriculture. Secondly, when you watch what the banks are doing and you are not getting your targets, the objectives as much as you want, we intervene directly. And to mention directly, the focus has been rice, wheat, maize, cassava, and a few other commodities that are staples for Nigerians and who have contributed heavily in foreign exchange expenditure for the country.
Thank you so much, Chinedu, for that very useful answer. We're struggling with time. I knew this would happen. It's interesting, but we're struggling with time. So I want to encourage our guests to send any questions so that we can put those questions to our panelists. There were interesting topics that we hoped to discuss today, but I think we're going to struggle with time to do so. I wanted us to look, for example, at the impact of water, the fact that all over the world, water is a problem, and how we're looking to meet this challenge. So interesting questions that come in regarding water resources will be very welcome. We didn't get the opportunity to discuss COVID-19 and how it's been an issue, how it's affected the agri-sector in Nigeria. But before we start to take the questions, I want to deal with one question very quickly and see how our panelists deal with it. I want to put this question to Mira, actually, if I may. In your opinion, okay, because an important element of advancing our agri ambitions is the workforce, that we have to have skilled human resource. Do you think that our education system is fit for purpose in this regard? What are your thoughts?
Oh boy. It's tough, you know, like the education system in Nigeria is so focused on theoretical. And, you know, at the end of the day, what I need on my farm and what I need in my employees is folks with practical experience and who are willing to come in. And so I often look at, you know, polytechnic schools, and I'd rather have somebody who's maybe not had necessarily as much formal education, but apprenticed somewhere and did some work on, you know, on whatever it is that I'm trying to get. So, you know, some of my best tractor operators, you know, didn't necessarily even get a degree, right? And if I look at, you know, it's really tough, to be honest. You know, I loved Samson's points, you know, the points about what farming actually requires. And I think also Hafaz touched on this, that mechanization is really important. Well, if you want to have an asset, if you want to have mechanization, you have to be able to maintain those assets in order for that investment to pay off. And the culture of investment in maintenance is very poor. I mean, you see that in roadside mechanics. You see that in the way that, you know, people treat their tools or don't treat their tools. And I think that kind of challenge really then ends up making these small costs of agriculture that you don't think about much, much more expensive. So for example, you know, we've got a John Deere tractor. It's been down since May, you know, and the fuse is out, and our mechanics, you know, went to the John Deere dealer and he's like, oh, we have to get the fuse box from South Africa because we don't have those in stock, you know, so those kinds of things. And then even the mechanic that comes up doesn't know how to repair the tractor that he's licensed to repair. And so those kinds of challenges are very, very real. And I think the best way to overcome them is really to introduce more practical training in education and have more apprenticeships and have more hands-on training, you know, outside of the oil and gas sector. I would say oil and gas is a sector where you see huge amounts of training going in, you see huge amounts of very highly skilled people, but the price points that those employees require to be working on those rigs or wherever they are doesn't map out into agriculture unless you're in a very, very large farm. And so I think that, you know, we found that, you know, we send our guys for training all the time, whether it's on how to weld something or, you know, my agronomist is teaching how to walk the fields, how to spray on your farms effectively. All of those things are things that you don't necessarily learn in school.
Thank you very much. Very, very, very useful answer. We appreciate that. So we have a we also know actually that the CBN has been working in the area of water resources. We know that the CBN has been working with the Ministry of Water Resources and preferring initiatives. Before I go on, we've received a question from Abdurrahman Modibo, who is the MD of Rauda Farms. He's posed a question to Chinedo. So I'll read the question and ask for Chinedo's response very quickly because we're struggling with time. He says, I've applied for the AGS MIES loan since 2019 January. I haven't gotten the money, neither have I been told why. The consultant who handled my application to NIRSAL, the microfinance bank, doesn't seem to know why, but has been promising that he'll get a call. Okay, so this is a bit, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but I know you can't directly solve his problem, but you may be able to give us some idea of what's happening in that space.
Yes, part of what this kind of forum does for us is we present to the public the real facts about our interventions. I'll start by saying the AgSmith loan that he's referring to is a program of the Bankers Committee of Nigeria. Every bank in Nigeria, we've used Moral Suasion to get them to on-lend to SMEs, and we were not getting the kind of traction we desired. So we got every bank in Nigeria to set aside 5% of profit after tax on annual basis. And then that fund is used to finance agribusiness and SMEs in Nigeria. Now, back to the question. As you know, in 2013, there is this research that came out to say that for CBN to adequately finance SME needs, we would require about 9 trillion naira. So what this goes to say is that there is no way the fund will be enough to finance every application, every single of the 37 million SMEs in Nigeria. Now, having said that, if people apply, go through the processes, go through the training, submit good business proposal, the onus is also on NISA Microfinance Bank to accord some level of priority on this request. Those that are agriculture, under agriculture, are they the focal commodities that the government and people of Nigeria spend money importing? Are they items that we're already at optimal level of production? I am not sitting in for NISA Microfinance Bank, but I'm just making the point that if the application is there, it's receiving attention. Not all the people that applied will receive the funding, but we will do our best from time to time to make sure that this fund gets to ultimate beneficiaries.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Really struggling now. We're the extra time of this game. I'm going to get in one more question from the public. It's a question from Titi Jimakiwa that's coming from Lagos. But hopefully before we wrap up, we'll get to touch on the impact of COVID-19. But Titi says, because of the intensive financial outlay involved in water irrigation systems for agriculture, will the Kaduna state government consider agri-tourism projects along its rich agricultural belt, where water irrigation infrastructures will be set up and laid out to encourage young farmers, leasing farmlands that are plug and play, ready to run? So to that, I'm going to ask Mr. Sabiu to respond to Titi's question, please. In 1 minute, if I may beg your indulgence.
Come on, Micah.
I want to call on all farmers and prospective farmers to understand that you don't actually need large-scale irrigation infrastructure for you to be able to do farming. There is precision farming that is taking place now. You can dig borehole. Kaduna State is a state that is endowed with lots of underground water. We have plenty of water bodies across the state, perennial rivers and so. And modern day agriculture does not actually mean, especially for high value crops like vegetables and fruits, you can have a borehole, dig an overhead, put an overhead tank, and then deliver your irrigation infrastructure to the point of need. It's a little bit expensive, but luckily, because of the use of plastic and plastic derivatives, greenhouses, and the warehousing arrangement for cold chain is something that is open for significant investment in the state. This is something that is faster, is easier, and is profitable. If we look at the value of these crops off-season, they tend to increase tremendously. And if you are producing in a controlled environment, you get better yield. And that is where knowledge and education and an area that I believe young people should be able to be attracted into the agriculture. We don't want people's mindset to be looking at farming, carrying cutlasses and all those things when you are doing agriculture. We are looking at this young generation of educated and improved access to financing to be able to finance investment and also to focus investment in agriculture into these areas. And I believe Kaduna State is well positioned in terms of policy environment, in terms of favorable environmental condition for it, and in terms of the preponderance of youth within the population that are willing to take challenging tasks like those, like that in that area.
Okay, so thank you very much. I'm going to invite Mira to contribute for 30 seconds to this issue of water resources and irrigation, please.
Yeah, I mean, in tomato, irrigation is the #1 driver of yield. So I'm absolutely pushing. I would love KD state government to invest in large scale irrigation. The other thing I would say, though, I mean, to Alhaji Sabiu's point, it's super expensive to put it in and it's super expensive to maintain it. So you have to have a system that prices those plots appropriately so that a farmer can afford it and that whoever is managing it can afford to maintain it. But short answer, yes, please, please, please do it.
Excellent. So you've heard from Mira to the Kaduna state government. Water resources is big, it's important, and it plays a very important role. So we also had a comment from James Awoni. It's a complaint actually, and it was a complaint directed at CBN. But I won't forward the complaints on this forum. Suffice to say that generally he's talking about the fact that the interventionist initiatives from the central bank are not reaching their intended targets. It's also easy to understand that because all over the country, there are very smallholder farmers who may be at various stages of literacy. I'm sure that the central bank looks at this area, but it's not a call for your comments. It's not a call for your comments, sir. But I'm just saying that this is some of the sentiments that's out there. So just quickly, I think that before we go, I want to touch on COVID, obviously, because it's here. It's been impactful for many months. Businesses stopped operating all over the world, and Nigeria was not exempted. So I want to pose this question to our young Turk, Haruna Tukur, to give us some idea of how COVID has affected his business and what young people have considered about COVID and how to overcome the challenges that have been presented by it. Haruna, please.
Thank you,
45 seconds. 45 seconds.
Sure. COVID has really impacted our businesses negatively because if you look at it from the prices of inputs, so we're talking about prices hike. The farmer is not the person that is hiking these prices. If you look at it as the input, we are talking about fertilizer, talking about pesticides, herbicides, all these are kind of inputs that have increased in prices, which obviously as a farmer, it has increased your expenditure for your health, for your cost of production per hectare. So these kind of challenges that we have faced, we've faced other challenges such as transportation. So during the COVID period, just a member of ours that you've seen that grows strawberry, she was telling me that a lot of her strawberry, they've gone very bad during the COVID period because of the lack of transportation that has been going on and the restriction of transportation. So a lot of businesses have suffered a lot of loss during the COVID era, but however, it's been a curse and a blessing as well. We've been able to see a lot of other ways that we can do businesses and how we can be able to cut down on some unnecessary costs in running our businesses as well. So that's
Thank you for that. Sorry, I had to issue you a yellow card. I'm getting the flea in my ear that we've actually run out of time. I'm really sorry, but particularly grateful for the Kaduna State government. This platform is incredible. We hope that at some time in the future, we'll all get to sit around the table and discuss these things. It's a big, important sector, the agri sector, and it's what will elevate the Nigerian economy in terms of Forex, in terms of businesses, and in terms of employment in the near future. So thank you all so much for joining me and us on this platform. I hope it's been as educational and knowledgeable for you as it has definitely been for me. So thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kadiri. My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Michael Kadiri, CEO, AIP BOESS, a diversified agriculture and food production holding company that is based in Lagos. Indeed, you were a dream as a moderator, because you were able to recoup time for us, just like Mr. Gerald Ilukwe did for us. Thank you so much. And with that, like joke, like we love to say in these climes, we have come to the end of this event. The end of the event, but not the end of all that it stands for. Remember, infrastructure, industrialization, and innovation. And yes, she did welcome us, and she will bid us goodbye. It's time for us to take closing remarks from Hajia Umma Yusuf Aboki, the Executive Secretary of the Kaduna Investment Promotion Agency. Hajia Umma.
Thank you very much. I am especially honored to address you all as we draw the curtains on a hugely successful economic and investment summit, KADINVEST 5.0. The Kaduna State government, under Malam Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai's leadership, is well accustomed to going off the beaten path and seeking creative ways, turning adversity into opportunity. The choice of innovation, therefore, was one of our central themes for this summit. In its initial billing and schedule for April, was not far-fetched. The assertion was tested when we were faced with the vagaries of the global pandemic and the realities of a new normal. Public health protocols, a lockdown, and travel restrictions meant that the vibrant personal interactions which have come to be associated with KADINVEST would not be possible. In the face of the challenge, however, we drew on our inclination to innovate. As such, we have sustained the momentum of the last 4 editions and have seized the unique opportunity afforded by a virtual summit. I am happy to conclude today that with your support, distinguished guests, KADINVEST 5.0 has produced interactions much wider, much more robust, and more engaging than we dared to hope. I must express our deepest appreciation to His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari for his gracious support and for honoring our invitation and attending this event. We have been immensely encouraged by his joining us, and with his remarks, our investment promotion resolve is stronger than ever. We're also grateful to His Excellency, the Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, for his goodwill message. The healthy competition between states is something we relish for our collective improvement. My profound thanks also goes to our keynote speakers, Mr. Bismarck Rewani and His Highness Muhammad Sanusi II, for their illuminating sessions and key insight, which will only help our advancement in our chosen priority sectors. We also like to thank our keynote speakers who unfortunately were unable to attend the summit due to other engagements. I wish to also sincerely thank our sponsors and partner agencies for their generosity and support. I am particularly grateful to the NESG and NIPC for their helpful advisory roles. We similarly thank our numerous guests from across the public sector, as well as industry giants and private sector executives who have greatly enriched this webinar. We deeply appreciate our plenary discussants with whom we have held stimulating sessions as they brought to bear their unique perspectives for valuable and innovative results. We thank all registered participants who joined us from around the world, adding tremendous networking value to this event. I reserve very special thanks to the chairman of our board and the vice chairman of our board and other members of the board for their continued support in ensuring that KADIPA achieves the mandate it has been set for it. The presence of His Royal Highness on our board, with his presence, we have benefited greatly from his breadth and depth of knowledge, experience, intellect, and networks. We remain ever grateful. I also appreciate the members of our organizing committee, without whom we wouldn't have achieved what we have achieved today. They have been committed their time and efforts towards making this historic event a success. I'm very proud of what we have achieved with KADINVEST 5.0. Finally, our special and profound appreciation goes to our tireless and ever-supportive governor, Malam Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai. We could not have asked for better, more visionary leadership to steer Kaduna State through these uncertain times. He has galvanized us to stay the course that we began in 2016 with KADINVEST. The first edition carried with it much hope, and in the 4 years since, determined reforms have transformed that hope into clear results, from placing 27th in the Federation in attaining the #1 spot in the World Bank Ease of Doing Business rankings, as well as bringing in about $800 million worth of investments with about $2.1 million in announcements. We look back on this achievement with satisfaction, but we're determined to go even further. We're focused on creating stronger and deeper linkages to cover the gaps between corporate businesses and MSMEs. We're determined to make Kaduna the national hub for manufacturing and industries. Our urban renewal drive is expanding frontiers for doing business, job creations, inclusive growth, and all-round prosperity. Ladies and gentlemen, I look forward to seeing you at KADINVEST 6.0. Thank you very much for joining us.
Hajia Yusuf Aboki. We indeed look forward to KADINVEST 6.0. And at this time, I would like to ask for each and every person to please stand up for the national anthem.